All right, and as promised, I'm here with FieldAgentReaper, who is a partner Twitch streamer, has been creating content since 2013, back in the YouTube days, then got into Twitch in 2017, is a Kate Denson main and a very strong Pinhead. His pronouns are he, him, and just a reminder, my pronouns are he, him. Reaper, welcome in. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today, Crow?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Yeah, I'm settled into my new place. Foot injuries getting better, so I'm excited to finally start to get some content going here in my new place. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that to hear though that your foot injury is getting better because I know you, obviously that didn't sound like a lot of fun at all. Definitely know how that feels.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and that's the thing. We were making plans to do this like over a month ago, and then I injured my foot, and I was like, hey. I can't sit at my desk for more than 20 minutes. So,
No, yeah, that's it's not fun having something like that. But I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad you're doing
yeah,
better.
thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so I wanted to what I like to do in these interviews is I like to start at kind of the beginning. Like yeah, I saw I think it was in your Twitch that you started creating content back in 2013 on YouTube. Like what were some of the things you were getting into back then?
Well, that was a long time ago. So, what I first did, it might have even been a little bit before 2013.
Hmm.
But I basically started when I was pretty young, and it was kind of like a Minecraft Let's Play. Back when YouTube was, everyone wasn't really sure the best way to create content or anything like that. So a lot of the most popular content was a lot of gaming let's plays, and obviously that's when Minecraft was super duper popular.
Oh yeah.
um, and I didn't have my own computer back then. The most access I had to a computer was a laptop. um, I wasn't super duper good with computers like I am now. So believe it or not, the way that I recorded was with a little camera and a
Oh,
tripod.
yeah.
And that little, like, one of those things where it's like, you're kind of embarrassed that you're like, oh yeah, I was one of those kids that used a camera and a tripod. I'd put it in front of the laptop and then I'd play. um and it was a lot of Minecraft content, a lot of multiplayer stuff. I really was super duper into multiplayer stuff all those years ago. I didn't have the only console I had at the time was a Wii, so I even put out a
Okay.
couple Mario Kart
Oh,
Wii stuff too. But for the
nice.
most part, that's all I really did. And then obviously, as time started to go on, um, I got my own console for Christmas. My
Hmm.
brother bought me an Xbox 360 for Christmas. And that's
Nice.
when I actually started to do a little bit more serious content. It wasn't like anything like crazy, like, oh, wow, you can see the evolution. It was like, one step
Yeah.
up. I moved to like
Yeah.
Call of Duty and stuff because I discovered that.
Yeah.
Um, Zombies, multiplayer, stuff like that. Again, really into that. Made a bunch of friends on Xbox.
Mhm.
And then it was finally around, I want to say around 2016, 17 or so,
Yeah.
that I finally decided, I'd always been a Twitch lurker, but I was like,
Yeah.
because I'd finally learned about Twitch. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do some streaming for some of these friends that I have in some of these communities. And this was around the time that Fortnite kind of blew up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
And
right.
yeah, and I still had not had my own PC yet, but I did still have my Xbox. So I started streaming Fortnite, and not just the BR mode. I did a lot of the PVE side of the
Okay.
game to save the world, which was very, like,
Yeah.
technical type stuff. Not I did enjoy the multiplayer, but I did a lot of that, and I made some friends over in that community. Unfortunately, that side of Fortnite is kind of dead. So, but
Yeah.
I'm still friends with a ton of people
Oh,
that
cool.
were attached to that community. Some pretty big names. And we still
Nice.
hang out, and we still talk about playing other games like DBD and stuff. But and then finally, it was, I think, when I had gotten a job at Best Buy. I used the money that I made, and then of course my discount, to buy PC parts.
Oh,
In
cool.
around 2000, I want to say 2019, 18 or so. Trying
Hmm.
to remember exactly when I got hired, but it was around then. And then I built my own PC, and then I actually made my own Steam account, because I'd always been using my brother's Steam account to play games, whether it be DBD in the early days. Because like I dabbled in
Oh, yeah.
DBD in like,
Yeah.
2016, 2017. I
Yeah.
never really, it was never like my game because I didn't have my own account. So I kind of just relied on
Yeah.
what I had. But then eventually, when I built my PC, I had already been playing DBD on my Xbox for at least
Okay.
about a year or so,
Yeah.
because they had released it on Game Pass for free. And that was part of the
Hmm.
reason I started maining DVDs, because I had access
Okay.
to it for free.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I started a PC account, and then I set up, and then from there I kind of just started building, and then we actually make it to today, where I actually have my own I have like over 7,000 hours in
Oh,
DVD.
wow.
So
So, do you think you have more than that because of like your brother's Steam account and playing on Xbox?
well, if I combine, I actually when I went so I don't consider the time playing on my brother's Steam account or anything like that in the early
Yeah.
days for my
Okay.
hours, because again, I just kind of dabbled in it. I didn't
Oh,
have a
yeah.
ton of time to play,
Yeah.
like commit really really hard to games. I never put a ton of hours into games, at least before 2018 or so, just because of school and stuff,
Hmm.
sporting events and all that stuff. It wasn't until after I graduated high school that I
Okay.
actually started being able to put a lot more time into games, just because of the fact that I had more time. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, if I have about 3,500 hours on my Xbox account,
Oh, wow.
um, and then as of now, I'm about to hit 4,000 hours on my PC account, if I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
wicked.
it's about 3,900 hours or so right now.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah,
cool.
if I counted all the time, I'd probably be like, yeah, probably like closer to 8,000 hours. But
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just, to keep it simple, I looked at my Xbox time played, and then my
Yeah.
Steam time played, and I'm like, oh, it's about like 7,500 hours or so.
Cool. Who do you remember who you watched when you first started getting into Twitch? Like, do you remember, were there
The
any
early
that
days,
really stuck out?
yes, I do. So, one of the couple of the names that I did start watching, because again, DBD was one of those games that I hadn't super duper committed to, at least until around late 2018 ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But I still did watch some content from it, because I thought it was kind of fun, to watch people who were clearly better than me play the game. So
Yeah.
there was Noob back when he streamed. There
Cool.
was Max. I watched
Yeah.
Max quite a bit.
Okay.
I remember when Monto used to stream a little bit more often. I know he doesn't
Hmm.
really that much anymore. But it was those three were the three big ones. I remember watching a little bit of Tofu. Um,
Yeah.
I probably dabbled in a couple other streams, but it was mostly those four. It was mostly Noob, Max, Monto, and a little bit of Tofu. Those are like the big ones.
Okay. Cool.
Obviously, as time went on, I started, as they, rated each other or said, hey, I got this friend that does this and that, I would kind of start peeking into other streams. And then, of course, there were other streamers that I watched for other games too, because,
Yeah.
a lot of the older Minecraft YouTubers that used to stream the game, like I'm talking like before like any of the current people, like a lot of the ones that are like, I guess you could say semi-retired now. When I was
Yeah.
younger, I'd still watch those guys, because they'd have like their multiplayer servers or whatever, do
Yeah.
their like Minecraft Hunger Games and stuff like that. I used to watch a little bit of that, and then of course a couple Fortnite creators, and that was pretty much it. It was like a very small group of people.
Hmm.
It was like maybe no more than like 10 people that I watched
Yeah.
on Twitch, and that was it. obviously I watch a ton more now in my free
Hmm.
time, but it was really just like some of those guys, just because, like, obviously when I went to go look for a game like DVD or something, I'd be like, oh, let's browse the game and let's look who has a lot of viewers because they probably
Yeah,
are good at the game. So
yeah. Yeah, that's how I got into Twitch. I was actually I had a minor surgery and I had to be in bed for like a month. So my brother's like, for months he was like, you got to check out Twitch. He's like, it's like it's more than people just playing video games. It can be whatever you want it to be. So I was like, fine. I signed up for an account, just lying in bed flipping through channels, and I was like, PUBG is a cool game. I really want to learn PUBG. And there was a streamer I found called Ponyhoff, who's a German streamer, because I was up at all hours of the night. So it was late for me, but it's like morning slash afternoon for him. So I was able to like check out a lot of his content. And then, yeah, it was from there I found other people like Kitty Plays and Summit 1G and um, all the big Fortnite stream. I didn't even play Fortnite, but I had fun watching it. So
yeah, right. It's kind of fun
yeah,
to watch people like I don't really watch Ninja that much anymore, but it was really fun to like watch him back when the game was like
oh yeah,
exploding, and it was like
yeah,
there were these people that were just absolutely insane at the game.
yeah.
So it was fun to watch
Did
that stuff.
Did you catch that stream when he streamed with Drake?
I did.
That was
I'm happy to
cool.
say I was one of those people that got to
I
watch
was in
that
there
live.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, that was exciting. That
yeah,
was weird. You're like, what the heck?
yeah,
It's
yeah. I was
different.
like,
It's kind of
"What's
cool.
going on?" Yeah, my brother actually texted me. He's like, "Ninja's playing Fortnite with Drake," and I immediately went to my computer and I was glued to my seat the whole time. It was like, this is
What a throwback.
cool.
Yeah, what a throwback.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a fascinating time. Yeah, I'm always interested to hear people's journey for like when they started creating content and how you consume your content. And like when you said the tripod with the camera in front of your laptop, like
Laptop.
I did that too. I did that with NHL. There
I
are
couldn't.
really old clips out there of me playing NHL, and I played at a pretty high level. Like I was pretty good, and I played with teammates, and that was a fun time. But the game became pay to play with the I think it's called EAS. No, not EASHL, but like there's a mode where you collect cards and get good players, but it became very pay to play, which I didn't like. So I
Yeah.
actually quit because I was spending like hundreds of dollars playing. So not
Feel like
fun.
there's a lot of games these days that have been kind of, the demeanor of those games have been changed to be that kind of aspect, and it's a little unfortunate because there are a lot of good quality games that
Oh, totally.
um you go to play them and you're like, oh well, wow, I didn't realize I can spend money and now just absolutely dominate.
Yeah. Oh, totally. How do you find the balance between everything you do? Because you stream, I believe, pretty late at night, and I believe you're also going to school right now. Plus, creating other content like hanging out with friends. Like, how do you find the balance for all that?
A lot of people actually ask me that because I feel like it's an ongoing joke inside my community and a lot of the communities, because people are like, bro, how do you do anything? Like, you say you go to school, you say you have a job. As of now, I've currently left my job just because I'm going to be moving. So
Okay, yeah,
obviously I don't have that. But like, obviously back when I did have a job, I only left a couple months ago.
okay,
Um, but a lot of people are like, bro, you're modding in all these chats, you're talking in
yeah,
all these chats, you're streaming, you're playing with your friends, we see you on
yeah,
DVD or X game when you're not doing this. I'm like, well, part of it is I have a horrible sleep schedule, and
okay,
so I just I'm basically sleeping when I can, but I don't know, I
hmm,
guess I feel like I'm constantly trying to do stuff when I'm up and about.
yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to hang out with friends because I like it's. I mean, it is hard. Like it's genuinely hard. I mean, it helps. I think one of the big things that helps is that I have three monitors. So like if
Right.
I wanted to be hanging out with friends and playing games with them, or just
Hmm.
talking, hanging out, whatever, working on content, I could have a bunch of streams. Like right now while we're talking, I have a couple streams going on
Oh,
the
cool.
side. So just hanging
Yeah.
out in there, watching those.
Yeah.
Um, it's really hard. I sometimes I don't understand how I'm able to do this. I
Yeah.
know people are like, "Bro, you don't have a life." I'm like, "Yeah, well, duh." Like, I mean, it's summertime right now. I don't like. I left my job. I'm waiting to move. I'm waiting for my official like okay move-in date for my new
Yeah.
place. So it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I don't have very much else to do right now. So I kind of
Yeah.
just hang out in streams.
Stay
I
busy. Yeah.
stay busy, but I mean,
That's awesome.
it's definitely hard in a way,
Yeah.
but it's like, but I totally get people are like, bro, you're like all over the place, like you're doing this and that, and like I'm just like, it just kind of happens, dude. It just kind of
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Because like me, I don't sleep a lot. Like I'll be up super late and I'll tune into the late night streamers. I'm like, hey, there's Reaper. He's in there too. Or you'll be streaming and I'm like, pop into your stream and I'm like working on stuff late at night and you're up late.
Mhm.
And who are some of the people you mod for? You mentioned. Um,
I mod for Bronx. I've been modding for him for at least a couple years now at this point, I believe. I
yeah.
mod for Vel. I mod for a lot of the friends of those two that also
Okay.
stream. There's a pretty large list. I could
Yeah.
if I could probably go through all of them, but at this point, it's like
Yeah.
it's a decent list. But it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like I like doing it because it's like, hey, I'm here. I love supporting you, and I love just helping
Mhm.
out, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
fun because it gives me like an actual something to do,
Yeah.
help out, whether it be like, doing predictions or just making sure that people are behaving in chat because sometimes people are weird and everyone knows that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I just like helping out. It's just fun. I love this
That's cool.
community. So I've like, because I told myself when really started maining DVD, because, I felt like a real connection with the game. I was like, I like this community a lot. I want to
Yeah.
get involved. I don't want to just be someone who just exists within the space. I want to be someone that like gets involved, like gets to know
Yeah.
people, talks with people, how
Hmm.
just and that's kind of what I've done. And I so that's part of the reason why I like people are like, bro, you mod for like half the DVD community. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of fun. I
Yeah.
like doing it. It's exciting to like see someone go live and go in there and be part of like feel like I'm part of their stream,
Oh
in
yeah.
a way. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. I love Bronx. I love his streams. I didn't know who he was when I first started playing DVD. And once I hit about, 1,000 hours, I started getting into his lobbies and I still haven't escaped versus him. Like he's just so good at the game.
No, but I believe it or not, I've never actually escaped against him either. It doesn't
Really?
help that he always throws on a Mori or something for me if I ever
Oh, is that
find him,
right?
if he finds me in his lobby or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's a very, very good killer, and that's part of the reason I
Yeah.
started watching him. It was like an awesome moment. The way that I found Bronx was because I didn't even know who he was, but Umbra decided to raid him one day,
Hmm.
and because it was just like late in the evening, and this was like only very shortly after demo came out, I believe, or
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
And there was this ideology that demo just kind of sucked, and
Yeah.
because of that kind of like general community consensus, I kind of shared, even though I was kind of like being part of the mob mentality. I wasn't using my own brain. I was like, yeah, this killer kind of sucks. And
Hmm.
when Umber raided this this guy named Bronx, and he was a demo main, I was kind of intrigued in a way. I was like, oh, who mains demo? That's kind of weird. And he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
good on his first
Yeah.
stream. He was good. He was only playing demo. And he played like Oni and one other thing or something, but he was mostly playing demo, and he was good, like really good. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this guy's really good. So I dropped him a follow, and he was
Yeah.
very insightful on how to play killer well. Because I feel like I wasn't the killer that I was then that I am
Yeah.
now. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people see me and they're like, oh yeah, Reaper, he's an insanely good killer. And like I
Hmm.
was like 3 years ago, I was not a good killer. I
Yeah.
was not a good
Yeah.
killer. But it was very insightful. So I started basically showing up to all of his streams to learn more. And I feel like he's part of the reason that I became such a good killer. So I have him to thank
Nice.
for that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoy watching his gameplay because he's so good with every killer I've seen him play. He's like either insanely cracked or like really damn efficient and just
mhm.
good, and that's something I'm aspiring to be. Like, I think I'm making the transition to becoming a killer main because I have the most fun playing killer, and I find myself being drawn to killer mains for streaming. So
It's
I'll watch
definitely the
anybody,
best way to
really.
learn. Yeah, it's definitely the
Yeah.
best way to learn. It's crazy how much you can learn from DBD just by watching other people playing the role. Even Survivor too, like
Yeah.
playing that role. Like you
Hmm.
you you pick up on little things, little tips, tricks, good builds. Oh, this is a cool little thing you can do with this killer. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna start doing that with when I play this killer now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, when you first started like making an effort to become a better killer, like, who were some of the killers you really enjoyed playing as you started to take that
Well,
role?
when I first played DBD, like the first time that I actually played DBD was like obviously in the really really early days. I thought Killer was cool and it felt cool, but I felt at times it was a little hard to play Killer just because of the
Hmm.
fact that the game was so different. Like
Yeah.
again, there were infinites, there were pallets littered on every single map, and so I felt drawn towards Trapper and Nurse just
Okay.
because Trapper could deal, like you could place like, oh wow, this person is not leaving this loop. All right, well, I'm gonna put a little trap here in the grass next to this loop, and then if he comes back to this later, then I'm just gonna
Hmm.
make him step in it, or just
Yeah.
Nurse because I can just ignore it. Now I wasn't very good with Nurse, but
Yeah.
it was nice to know that that you could do something about it. And I thought
Hmm.
Rafe was kind of cool, but he was like, this guy feels kind of pointless. So I didn't really
Yeah.
play him all that much. And then, of
Okay.
course, I thought Billy was really fun too. But
Oh,
part
yeah.
of I enjoyed Billy a lot just because I'll admit it, I abused those crack Billy and InstaSaw add-ons. I abused that. I'd be like, oh DBD, what is Hillbilly's best add-ons? Oh, double charge time. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, well now
Hmm.
everyone just dead.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's
yeah,
hilarious.
in those early days, and then there was after that. Like I think the coolest killer for me. I mean, obviously she's really weak, but I always one of the reasons that I decided to even come back to DBD back when it came out on console for Game Pass
Yeah.
was because of Pig. I was a huge
Okay.
fan of Saw, and I
Yeah.
remember when they launched Pig, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! I love Saw. Saw's like one of my favorite like horror franchise films," and it was so exciting to see a lot of other new faces that hadn't really touched the game, like Vanos Gaming and stuff, come
Hmm.
play DBD because Pig came out, and like, oh hey guys, look, we got this cool license. Because obviously they'd gotten other licenses too, but
Hmm.
it was always really cool to me to have that. And then of course the big one was of course the fact that when it was on Game Pass, Ghostface came out, and
Right.
he's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Nice. Okay.
I'd say Scream and Saw are like right next to each other, but I
Okay.
love Ghostface. So when he came
Yeah.
out, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta play this game. So I found myself drawn to like Ghostface a ton. I played him a ton. Obviously,
Yeah.
as time went on, I realized, yeah, this guy's not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do good with Ghostface, but like compared to the strength of other killers, um, I really started maining Deathslinger when he came out.
Okay.
I was a huge Deathslinger main.
Yeah.
That's even a video I have on my channel where when Odds was doing like a video showcase thing. It's just kind of funny
Hmm.
how like years ago I did a video showcase or like a stream showcase thing as Deathslinger. And then years
Yeah.
later, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not a Slinger main anymore. I'm a Pinhead main now.
Oh.
But most of that was because of the nerf that he got. I still enjoy Slinger, but
Yeah.
he's not like my number one anymore. He's up
Yeah.
there though. He's probably in the top three favorites still. But Pinhead
Cool.
just kind of became like, and I wasn't even a Pinhead main right away. Like I liked Pinhead, but I
Hmm.
was still searching. Like I was a Pyramid Head main at some point. I was back to
Yeah.
being a Pig main back from the old days.
Okay.
Back to Ghostface, and then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down and I'm just gonna learn Pinhead because I suck at him, and I was
Hmm.
really bad. I could not hit people at all. And then, I
Ah,
eventually got to that point. So like I've been like swapping all over the place. Like I was a Pig main, a Ghostface main,
yeah.
Slinger main, Pyramid Head main. Oh, back to Pig. Oh, back to
Yeah.
Ghostface. And then I finally settled on someone so that I really enjoyed.
Nice. You know, when I first got into Dead by Daylight, I think Pig was my main as well. And then once, like, I think when I first started playing, I got a really good grasp of Killer. So of course, when you start playing, you're going up against other noobs, and I was just like
Mm-hmm.
pub stomping other noobs. And then I started climbing the ranks because that was the old rank
Rank
system. You know,
system.
there was like the red and purple and whatever else there was. Once I started getting tougher opponents, tougher survivors, I was getting just destroyed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I asked my buddy, I was like, why am I getting rolled now? Like, what changed? And I was like, were there any? Because I didn't really follow things. Like, I didn't follow
Mhm.
updates. I didn't follow perk changes. He's like, Pig sucks, dude. He's
Just
like,
not a good
she's
killer. Yeah.
not good. She's not a good killer. I was like, oh, okay. And then I switched to spirit, and then I just started rolling
Oh
people's
yeah.
spirit,
Oh
and
yeah.
and then I started feeling bad because it was games were so easy. So I just
Hmm.
kept mixing it up. But yeah, that's a fun journey of the killers you've been playing. Yeah, now your Pinhead, I know you. I think you paused your streak, but you've got quite a win streak going with Pinhead, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think I'm currently at about. I think it's 226 right now. 226 wins in a row.
Okay. Now, when you're doing a win streak like that, do you keep the same build the whole time, or do you mix it up?
I've had a couple different builds that I have felt like were quote unquote win streak ready, where I feel like
Hmm.
this is a build that I would want to use for a win streak. I'm not going to count like a fun aura build or something because obviously, like that's kind of just for fun. But I've had a
Yeah.
couple different builds when I first, like, I didn't start off my pinhead streak with, oh, I want to do a pinhead streak. It was only
Yeah.
after I had gotten like, I feel like at least like a few months of matches under my belt where someone told me, they said, dude, I haven't seen you lose as Pinhead like ever. And I
Oh
was
wow.
like, yeah. And I was like, you know what? Now that you say that, I can't remember the last time I lost. Like, I think it was like a few months prior that I had gotten four outed, or
Yeah.
something like that. And then they're like, one of my viewers was like, you should do a win streak. And I was like, it could be fun. And so I decided,
Yeah.
like, after that stream, I went through my VODs and I started counting all the single wins that I had playing
Yeah.
Pinhead over like as far back as the VODs went. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I actually have like a nice little chunk here. And so I was like, all right,
Wow.
I'll count these, and then I'll just kind of start here, just because like, I went as far back as my VODs went, and then I was like, all right, I'll start counting, and then I put how many wins I had counted, and then
Hmm.
I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and now like establish some rules based off all these other previous matches. And I'll be like, all right, it's going to be, at 3 or 4K, 4K if I
Hmm.
can, 3K, like I'm not going to like always be like, oh, I have to slug this guy for 10 minutes. While they
Yeah.
just keep picking, and I'm not going to, that's boring. No, I'm not doing
It
that.
is. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to like 4K if I can, 3K, like with a hatch escape or whatever, something like that.
Hmm.
Basically what odds does, like it's just to keep it
Yeah.
simple. Um, and then I was like, all right, I'll just start going. And then I just kind of kept going. And then as for the builds part, like as of now, I only have two builds that I run for my
Okay.
win streak.
Yeah.
I had a couple others, but then I slowly started modifying them. And then of course the pain res change came. So I made some slightly more modifications to another build. And then I kind of landed on these two builds that I run kind of like back to back. They're both really, really strong. And those are the builds now that I basically run. And at this point, I'm like, if I'm not running one of these builds, then the match doesn't count. And then obviously I
Oh
have
yeah.
my streak paused right now just because Pinhead has been having some weird bugs. and
Okay.
issues. And I'm like, if I'm gonna lose, I'd like to lose to a team that actually kind of rolls me. I don't
Hmm.
want to lose because, oh, I picked up the box with one gen left and the chain hunt, instead of starting up and stopping them from working on the gens, just does the little restart thing instead, because that's
Oh.
apparently still an issue.
Oh,
And
really?
then yeah,
Wow.
so I'm like, because it was actually kind of funny because I was thinking about like, oh, what if this, because when Odds was doing a showcase thing, and during one of my matches, that actually happened where I pull. Well, I mean, it was a locker bug, where they've since fixed that part of it. Where if you pull a survivor
Mhm.
out of the locker, then then the chain hunt will simply just restart, because while you're pulling that person out of the locker, because like they have that new implementation where you can't stand on the box anymore, so people
Right,
are
right.
doing that bug. But for some reason, like I guess it was coded so that while you're pulling a survivor out of the locker, the box is in a weird state where it considers you standing on it while you're pulling that person out of the locker.
Oh, no
And it was
way.
just enough time that it restarted it, instead of like, because like when you stand on the box, it moves the box to a new location and then just restarts the timer. So like even if the chain
Okay.
hunt's like currently going, it goes, okay, yeah, I'm moving to a new spot, and then
Yeah.
that's what happened. So um I decided, and then that was like the main reason I decided to pause it, was because after like I still won that match, but one person got out, and I thought, what if something like this happened in one of my win streak matches, and I
Yeah.
lost because like I was like, I'm just gonna pause it until they've kind of like smoothed him out. And then of course they have that weird visual bug right now where like when you, because like normally when you do the gateway, you put your hand out and the
Right.
camera like goes from your eyes to the gateway. It's very
Yeah.
smooth. It just zooms right over to
Yeah.
it. But right now it has this weird, like, when you blink as nurse and it does that,
Yeah.
like you like zoom out and then zoom back in. It
Yeah.
does that like really fast, and it kind of like throws you off a little bit because like it's a little
Oh,
distorted. It's like it kind of like
yeah.
distorts the screen a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's one of those things where it's like I kind of don't like that. I'm gonna just wait for them
Yeah.
to fix that, and then I'll go
Mhm.
back to streaking. So I was like, they'll probably
Oh,
have it
cool.
fixed by this next update. I'm hoping, because it seems like they
Yeah.
have acknowledged it on the bugs. Both Odds
Mhm.
said he reported it, and I also reported it, and it did seem
Oh,
that they
okay.
were investigating it. So hopefully
That's
they
cool.
fix that.
That's cool. Yeah, and you've mentioned like the showcase with aunts. How many times have you done that with like showcase with aunts?
2 times now.
Right. So
Hmm.
you said the first one was Deathslinger and the next time
Hmm.
was Pinhead. What was
Hmm.
that experience like?
The first time I did it was the first time that I had ever been in a, I guess you could say, comp scenario. I had never
Mhm.
done comp. And that was like, I probably like 2.5 years ago or so. So it was a while ago. But that was the first like ever real, like, oh, you're not playing pubs, you're playing comp style.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because the first match I played, um, I was using my regular, like, build on Deathslinger, and Odds had me play against Hens and a couple of his friends. I think Nina was playing too, and then two of like
Okay.
their really cracked friends as well.
Mhm.
And I got rolled so hard. And then it
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
until I got to the final match where, because Odds, he told me, he said, hey, man, I know this is like, you're probably very new to like, this style of gameplay, but
Yeah.
I want you to be mean. And I was like, you mean
Ah,
like, and I was like, just run whatever. He's like, yeah, dude, be mean, dude, run
yeah.
something that you know is going to win you a game. And I was like, all
Yeah.
right. And this was back with old. Actually, no. This might have been just after they not nerfed, but reworked Undying or whatever. But it was
Oh,
Ruin, Undying, Corrupt, Noad. I threw that on, and everyone was
nice.
like, there we go. That's a real build. That's a real build. And I did
Yeah.
much better that match. I
Oh,
did
cool.
much better. And then obviously since then I've dabbled in. I've never done any like, well, I that's not true. I've done a couple like tourney things. Like Fidgets was one where I played comp style,
Yeah.
but like I've done a bit more like comp experience type gameplay since then. So then now
Mhm.
bringing me back to it, a second time around. At least that first match, that second match that I played, because I did 2 matches. That first match, I think I did pretty darn well considering. Um, the team I was going against, because it was a pretty
Yeah.
solid team. Everyone agrees that the team, I'm trying to remember, it was like team, gosh, what was their name? I'm really trying to remember what their name was. My memory's terrible sometimes,
Hmm.
but they
Oh, yeah.
everyone was like, yeah, they're a pretty good NA team.
Oh, okay.
And I did pretty well. And then the second match, I used double Eerie Pinhead because I heard Odd say, "Oh, it'd be exciting to hear him run NG Fang." And I was like, "All right, I'll
Okay.
go for it," even though I don't really
Yeah.
typically use NG Fang. But I was
Yeah.
like, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, of course, NG Fang is strong, but against a team, once you have them injured, you're not going to be able to do very much because, again, it becomes weaker once they're already injured. But yeah, that was my second time doing something like that with odds, and I felt like I was like a lot more experienced by then.
Cool.
And it was exciting though. It was kind of fun. Like the first time I did it, I was very nervous. Like I'd never been in
Yeah.
front of a group that large. It was like nearly
Yeah.
10,000 people. I still remember it. And
Oh,
I was
wow.
like I was very, like, I remember the first match, like when I was done, I was like, I had the little handshakes because
Oh, no way. Yeah.
you have this group of people that watch odds religiously, and
Hmm.
they respect him for being a great killer player, and you have someone like me, like nobody knows who who I am. They don't know this
Yeah.
guy. They just know that Odd said, "Oh, he's a good." He says he's a good death slinger, and
Hmm.
it was nerve wracking. And then obviously the second time, I was a little nervous. I mean, it's always a little nerve
Yeah.
wracking to be in front of a group that large.
Yeah.
They're expecting you to put on a show, and you're like, all right, I got to put on a show for these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're expecting, and I decided, go in with a little bit more of like a calm, composed self, so that it doesn't
Hmm.
affect my gameplay. And I feel like I took it a lot better the second time around. So
That's
just because
cool.
of the experience.
That's awesome. Now, I understand you got a chance to talk to Otts through FaceTime while he's at TwitchCon. I saw that picture you posted.
I did. It was very brief. It was kind of
Yeah.
exciting because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I
Yeah.
was supposed to be sleeping, but I couldn't sleep that night. So I was doing some stuff on my computer, and
Hmm.
my friend Fox, he called me, and he's like, "Reaper, I gotta show you something." And I was like, "Oh, what's up, man?" And Fox was in TwitchCon, so obviously it's like, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that in Paris.
Yeah.
And he was walking around TwitchCon, and then he put the FaceTime on, and then I got to see Nina and Odds, and I was like, "Oh, that's
Hmm.
so cool!" Because I wanted to go this year, but I couldn't afford it
Yeah.
this year,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it was kind of exciting. It was like, it was only for like a minute or so, but like I
Hmm.
got to say hello to Nina and Odds, and it was
Oh, that's
very lovely to
awesome.
see them. I was happy to see
That's
Nina
cool.
too, because I wanted to go
Yeah.
to the TwitchCon to say hello to Nina this year, but
Yeah.
Nina's been another content creator that I've absolutely been love to watch. A super fun
Oh, yeah.
content creator.
Yeah. They both are just so wholesome.
They
Like
really are.
yeah, it's fun just to be around their content, whether it's a live stream or a YouTube video. It's a good vibe because I know I'm just going to feel relaxed. I'm going to be entertained, and I'm probably going to learn a bunch of stuff too. So it's kind of checks a lot of boxes for me.
Mhm.
um, Now you mentioned earlier Sergeant Fidget's Streamer Bowl. What was that experience like? And I guess I should preface this by saying that Sergeant Fidget hosted a Streamer Bowl where I think he had like 140 plus content creators competing in a tournament for St. Jude Children's Hospital. So it was a really great fundraiser. It was a fun event. His computer actually died. Was that on the day two? One of the days, and
Yeah,
he
I
had to
think it was day two. Yeah, if my memory
yeah,
serves me correctly. Yeah, that was.
yes,
Thank God for Cup of Joe for stepping up and really helping out there, because yeah, that would have really sucked. But that was awesome that
yeah,
Joe was able to do that to help out.
yeah. But yeah, what was that experience like for you, the Streamer Bowl?
It was really fun. Like the whole thing started like months prior, when someone had actually tagged me um, on the initial tweet of Fidget's the basically saying, "Oh, hey, I'm setting up this cool little tourney to raise money for charity." Um, and it sounded really cool. I didn't really know who Fidget was very well at the time, but I
Mhm.
had heard his name, and I heard
Yeah.
that he's a very reputable Pyramid Head main. And I was like, that sounds kind of fun. So I was like, you know what, I've already done some other charity events before, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun, playing DVD for charity. That just sounds like a win-win right there.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was like, uh I'm trying to remember what the process was. I think he was like, oh, send me a message or something if you're interested. And I
Hmm.
told him, I was like, hey, I mean, if you got spots, I'm interested. I'd love to help out. And
Yeah.
then fast forward a few months after I got, told that I would be part of the event. Um, it was a really awesome time. It was so cool to see so many DVD content creators come together to for such a good cause, and we raised so much money too. I'm trying, like,
Yeah.
what was the total? It was like, I don't know. It was
It was big. I wish I had it in front of me.
yeah. I'm trying. Like, I don't want to say like an incorrect number, but I know it was like we
Yeah.
raised a lot. Like, it was not like a
Yeah.
little quarter. Like, it was like
And
a, enough to like
was
actually
it
change some lives. I believe
50
it was
to
over 100.
70? Was it over 100?
I think it was over 100,000. That might be wrong, but I
Yeah.
want to say it was like
It was in
I
that
just,
range though, for
yeah.
sure.
It
Yeah.
was enough to definitely change some lives for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, but no, yeah, it was really really cool. I picked some of my closest friends for my team.
Yeah.
Some people that are also very passionate about DBD and very good
Hmm.
friends of mine, and we put that team together, and we decided yeah, we were going to do some a little bit of practice. We kind of said who was going to play who. They were if other people were going to play kill or anything, we kind of had like a little bit of a setup lineup about who was going to do
Hmm.
what, and my team was like, oh yeah, well, I mean, obviously you're gonna play Pinhead, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the plan. And Fidget hates Pinhead, but it was kind of
Yeah.
funny. I mean, if you looked at the list of things that like you reach X amount of money, then
Hmm.
then these killers and stuff are banned, unbanned, stuff like that. Because like there were
Yeah.
certain killers that were banned off the start, so like no Huntress, no Billy, no Wesker, no
Yeah.
Blight, no Spirit, no Nurse,
Hmm.
like a bunch of stuff like
Oh
that.
wow. Yeah.
And then it was kind of funny because like I kept Fidget knew I was gonna play Pinhead because I told him, I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, I'm gonna play Pinhead. And
Yeah.
he there's like a little joke thing where the first two, for $1 and $2, for $1 banned Pinhead, for $2 unbanned Pinhead. So he
No
put that
way.
in there as a kind of a little troll for me because he's like, yo, hey
That's
guys,
funny.
only donate $1 and then save all your money and donate right after Reaper plays. And I was like, okay, guy. But so
That's funny.
it's kind of
Who
funny.
who did you play against in the
Um
tournament?
So the first match that I played against was Cup of Joe's team. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember all the other members. I remember Omal's was
Hmm.
on Joe's team as well.
Yeah.
Trying my best to remember the other two players, but my memory's
Oh, it's all good.
fading me a little bit. But I
Yeah.
played against Cup of Joe's team. The first match I played obviously Pinhead. It was on Wrecker's Yard. I
Hmm.
4K'd. I feel like I definitely intimidated them because that was definitely around the time that everyone was hearing about this one Pinhead that had like over a 200 win streak, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, I don't want to play against this guy." But
Yeah.
I won, and then we played another round. And then it was Joe playing Plague, and
Hmm.
initially there was actually a mistake, but initially it was Reaper's team won by like 1 or 2 points or something like that. And
Hmm.
then after actually like another match or two was played, there was someone did a recount. They're like, oh, they tied. So they
Oh.
had to go and message Joe, and because I was already there, I was still hanging out, even though the
Yeah.
match was done, because like I thought we won. And they're like, "Oh
Hmm.
yeah, you tied. You guys have the 1v1 on Cowshed now."
No way.
So yeah, so I had the 1v1 Joe on Cowshed, and that was really
Yeah.
fun. And I immediately, when they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to 1v1 on Cowshed," I thought back to the time that Odds did that video of Odds versus like
Oh,
69 different content creators
yeah.
on Cowshed. And
Mhm.
Odds actually had asked me if I had wanted to do that as well. Back like
Mhm.
this was a few years ago too, but he asked
Okay.
me to do
Yeah.
that, and I just remember immediately that the people that had the longest survive times are the people that just went from one tile to the next, dropping every pallet. And
Yeah.
if like something was super safe, they would abuse that like one time, but then they would just drop the pallet. And I was like, all
Uh,
right, time to kick in that Odds Darva 1v1 cow shed training that I had a few years ago. And I
yeah.
actually did manage to beat Cup of Joe. GG's to that man.
Mhm.
1v1. And then
Yeah.
after that, they told me, they're like, yeah, you can play killer again if you want, but you're going to be playing against, I think it was it Swarm's team? I think it was Swarm or something
Okay.
like that.
Mhm.
But obviously, like my goal was to not get last place. I was like, I don't care
Yeah.
if I win, but I'm not getting last place. We beat
Yeah.
another team, so that automatically set us for not being last. I'm like, all right. And then I told my friend Meticulous Hands that they could play killer. They
Yeah.
love playing Billy and Bubba.
Okay.
More Bubba than Billy, but still loves both the Chainsaw Boys.
Yeah.
And played against Swarm's team as Bubba, and sadly we were defeated after
Mhm.
that, because after that match and then the Survivor match, we they had a 3 out, and then we had a only a 2 out, and
Okay.
obviously because of that they had like literally like 2 or 3 more points than us. Like it was a very close match.
Uh,
Like if
yeah.
if maybe if like one more of them had died in the
Mhm.
match, when Meticulous Hands was playing, then we probably might actually have beaten them. It was very close. It
Yeah.
was very close.
Oh,
It wasn't
wow.
like we got steamrolled or anything. Like it was a very close
Mhm.
match, and that's why it was fun. Though it was fun. I was so proud of Meticulous for doing so well.
Yeah.
That match did an amazing job against a team of people that are very good at this game. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a close one. So, but then after that, we got knocked out, and then from there, I just hung out, watched the rest of the tournament. And then at the end, I was so happy to hear how much money we had raised.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good time. It was so exciting to see all my fellow content creators come out and participate and just have a ton of fun, and also
Yeah.
for a good cause. So.
That's cool. Yeah, I really enjoy talking with anybody who participated because everybody had a good time. I know some people had some concerns with like the rules and like the changing rules and stuff, but I thought that was interesting. Like I remember,
Mhm.
I forgot which game it was, but I remember like when people had to, the captain had to drop the pallet in Killer Shack. So
Oh
the
yeah.
person went to plague and they just puked on the pallet and ran away because they knew they'd get
They had to
infected,
go
like
and
stuff like
drop
that.
it. Yeah, that I actually, part of the reason we tied was because I made the mistake, because because I forgot that, like, when the very first match that we were Survivor, because they're like, oh, you got to
Hmm.
drop this shack.
Oh,
We spawned in, and there was a totem in front of me, and like instinctively I'm like, oh, totem, me break
yeah.
totem.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went and I touched it, and then my teammates are like, bro, shack
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
and they're like, and then I'm like, oh shit, and I already touched
yeah.
the totem, so that my team lost a point because of
Oh,
that.
no.
So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where I told him, I was like, dude, our next Survivor match, you guys yell at me at the start of the
Yeah.
game, like the second we're loading in, shack, 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 shack. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I went over to shack, dropped it, and I was like, it kind of you kind of die a little on the inside when you throw shack
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, but
Stuff like that. Yeah. It was super fun. It was fun
Mhm.
to watch like the ways people would adjust to that. Now, you're known for being like a killer main, but I know you play a lot of Kate as well as
Mhm.
Survivor, and like you got P100 Kate, I think, back in October.
Mhm.
And I know it looks like you've been dabbling with like flashbangs and stuff like that. How's that been for you?
Oh, it's been fun. So, like, because a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, are you a killer survivor main?" And I usually like to just give the answer of like, I kind of like 50-50, but there's that
Mm.
one site that actually lets you see the percent wise of how much you play on both sides. And
Oh, really?
and believe it or not, it's actually like a 70-30 split with, like, well, not
Wow.
quite 70. It's like a 68-69.
Hmm.
percent killer, and then
Yeah.
it's like a 32. God, I hate math. I don't do math.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But yeah,
lower.
it's lower. It's lower, but
Yeah.
I still do
Yeah.
play a lot of Survivor. I do love playing Kate. She's been my main forever.
Hmm.
Um, I want to say I was at least one of the first three Kates to have her P100 in the world. I don't think
Wicked.
I wasn't the first, but it didn't. You know,
Hmm.
I will die on the hill that if I was not working at that
Yeah.
time, I would have been first. But you know, when I
Yeah.
go to work for 8 hours a day, a couple
Yeah.
times a week, you know, like that obviously
Hmm.
pulls a lot of time, a time that I could have spent, you know, like being in a four
Yeah.
stack or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've been dabbling with like the flashbang a lot more. I love
Hmm.
watching Deadly Naya and Vicky
Hmm.
Valiant.
Oh yeah.
Vicky's also a fellow Kate enjoyer.
Oh,
Loves
they're
flashbangs.
demons with the
Yeah, I know they're
flashbangs.
so good. It's so fun to watch them with the flashbangs, and I just go, you know, because like I'm like, you know, I want to get good with this. I want to learn this. So I've been like using it a ton.
Hmm.
I did like a fun little like 4-man Kate P100 survive with friends night with a couple other Kate homies that are also Kate P100, Slushy,
Yeah.
Vicky. Oh God, how might see? I should really know this. The last person was someone that I'm actually more recently introduced to, a newer
Okay.
friend.
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, I really feel like I should at least just mention their name really fast. I'd feel bad if I
Oh
didn't.
yeah. Yeah, take your time. I can
Uh,
fill in. I can fill in like because yeah, Vicky and Slushy have actually been on my podcast as well. So
oh, that's
I adore them.
awesome. Yeah, they're
I love them
great.
both so much.
Yeah, they're
Just
really
great
great. I
content
love their content.
creators.
I love
Yeah,
their
like
content. I'm always hanging out in their chats whenever I can.
yeah, like I aspire to be as entertaining as half as entertaining as either one of them. And Slushy's edits over the last like year and a half have just been like going like she's been taking steps and like you can really see the work and I just love that they're both like doing really well too and I love their presence in this
hmm
community. So
That's who it was. Howdy Kelsey. I just had to throw their name out there too. Again, they're a
yeah,
little bit newer to someone I've been introduced to, but I had to just
yeah,
throw out their name too. I feel
oh,
bad, but
cool.
yeah, it was Howdy Kelsey, Slushy, and Vicky. We did like a Swift
Hmm.
thing, and I really wanted to start working on the flashbang stuff. But I've
Yeah.
been having a ton of fun with that. But yeah, like as for Vicky and Slushy, I've been watching Vicky for a while.
Hmm.
Slushy is someone that a little bit more recently I've started watching a
Okay.
bunch, but
Yeah.
excellent content creators. Super duper fun. I aspire to be the kind of content creator they also are. They always have
Hmm.
the positive vibes. See, one thing that is always with me is, you know, obviously like I'm always trying to have fun when I stream and stuff. But you know, like people know me for being a little bit of a Malder sometimes. At least on
Yeah.
Survivor, like on
Yeah.
Killer is like kind of like my chill comfort. Like I lose, I'm like, darn, what could I have done better there? You know, it kind of sucks. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Survivor is the side that I get a lot more frustrated on. I feel like a lot of people are like that though, because like, you know, oh, no
Oh
one
yeah.
likes getting, you know, tunneled out at 5 gens when you're just trying to like goof off and do some silly stuff or get some BP or whatever. I feel like, you know,
Oh
that
yeah.
definitely like frustrates people a lot more. Or, oh, the skull merchant's holding the 3 gen for the 75th time. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, this is going to be fun. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like with Killer, I have a lot more control over, you know, like my own fun because I get
Yeah.
to pick my killer. I get to pick what
Yeah.
happens during the game. And if the survivors team's good, it's like, who cares? I'm going to load into another game.
Yeah.
Um, with Survivor, though, I feel like I don't know. It's never. I know what the killers do. At least I hope not. Is never personal whenever they're, you know, playing the way they play.
Yeah.
But it can feel almost personal sometimes. Like, oh, they're face camping me, and then I get pulled off the hook, and oh, they're chasing only me, and they're humping me on the ground and teabagging me and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels a little personal, even though I know it isn't. You know,
Feels targeted.
yeah,
Yeah.
it feels
And
targeted. Even
the thing is, you most of the time you don't know, right? Like most of the
Mhm.
time, especially if they don't say anything in in-game chat, if their profile is private. Um, yeah, I think that's where a lot of the disconnect comes with the community when we get upset. I do the same thing. I'll be like, this fucker's like targeting, like tunneling me, like they know my perks, maybe. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm freaking out, right? I'm just like, this is bullshit. I hate this fucking game.
Yeah.
But they might just be like, well, I just, that person's in a bad spot. Let's just get them out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not that deep, right? Like it's yeah, it's funny. I'm malding right now and I'm not even playing the game right now.
No, yeah, I
Just
totally get
thinking
the
about it gets
feeling.
my
Yep.
yeah, it gets my blood boiling. Now, one of the things I have written down in my notes here is a tweet that you posted about a week ago. And I want to get your like expanded thoughts on this. You said the big problem about the bots, because there's in the next update, bots will be taking over when somebody disconnects from the game, a
Thank
survivor.
God. Thank God.
Yeah, that's what I say. So you said the big problem about the bots is that they won't work on hook suicides. People are still going to kill themselves on hook. And I think there needs to be a system in place to punish people from doing this very early in the match.
You know, like that I made that tweet, and I'm kind of sad that a lot more people weren't talking about it. I mean, I did see other people talking about it, not based off what I said, but obviously making their own comments. But like the whole point of me saying this, because I wanted to like kind of sprout some information about that, because obviously we all know like the amount of DCs in this game is like unreal. Like I have played multiplayer video games for more than half my life at this point, and I have
Mm-hmm.
never seen more people just leave a match than Dead by Daylight. People
Yep.
can be like, "Oh, well, they do it in other games." Not like this. Like
No.
there's no way you can argue with me on this, because I have played everything from COD to Minecraft to this and that and this and that. Like I don't even need to go on with the list.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it still baffles me, like, even like watching someone like Odds or something, or Tofu, Scott, whoever, and I just see people just disconnect. And like, I get it. When someone
Yeah.
gets frustrated, they're like, "Oh man, I'm not having fun. I'm going to get off the game," or, "Oh, I just want to go next." Like, I'm not going to pretend for a second that like, "Oh, you're a bad person because you're leaving
Yeah.
and not letting the killer have fun by punching you over and over again until you're a little like sack of like bleeding flesh because you've been beaten up so bad." No, like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but like it still blows my mind though, like, because like, I go and play killer, I'm chasing someone, and I just get a quick down on them. I do
Yeah.
like a moonwalk or something, like nothing crazy. I do like a moonwalk, and then I manage to hit them, and they go down before they can make it to a pallet. Boom, DC, they're gone. Why? I didn't even do
Yeah.
anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm not, I'd be playing Ghostface, and I'd just be seeing someone, on the top of the hill over there. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna chase you right now. And then I down
Yeah.
them, and then they leave. Like, I didn't even do anything. I just like
Mm-hmm.
moonwalked or something. Or sometimes
Yeah.
I won't even do a mind game. I'll just, and you just kind of sit there and you scratch your head, and you're like, why is it that I mean, DVD is such a different game. Like, obviously, like the mindset is so much different than many other video games, but it's still crazy. And like, I'm glad that they're adding these bots though, because nothing is more irritating than a match where you feel like, oh, like, this is like a standard, like maybe the killer has 2-3 hooks and you have a 1.5 gens done or something like that, and you're like, this feels
Mm-hmm.
pretty typical, as long as we stay at a good pace, at least a couple people might get out or something. And then, oh, this guy just DCs because the killer
Yeah.
downed him. They didn't get to run him
Mm-hmm.
for 12 minutes. And you're like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I've never done that. It's happened,
Yeah.
like sometimes,
Oh
like
yeah.
I get the seventh blight in a row, and they run up to me and find me in the first 5 seconds because of lethal. And I'm like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm not doing this again. And then I just leave. And then I'm like, I'm going to go grab some water, watch some TV, come back, and then maybe I'll get some better
Mm-hmm.
games or something.
Yeah.
But I do think though, going back to the whole tweet, is I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
they're adding these bots, but people are still going to just kill themselves on hook. They're
Yeah.
going like they're gonna get the annoying double speed blight for the 17th time, and they're gonna go, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to DC because I already DC'd against a skull merchant holding me hostage." I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
myself on hook. And they get on the hook, and then everyone's obviously like across the map, so no one can like farm off the hook. But it doesn't matter, even if you do farm them, they'll just go AFK, and then the killer will come
Yeah.
back and either slug them or whatever, and
Hmm.
then they'll kill themselves on hook, and then we're back to the same problem. Like, yes, we see a
Yeah.
lot of DCs, but I see probably just as many hook suicides where someone goes,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to play," and maybe it's a match where I'm like, "Well, I do want to play. I want to see, like,
Yeah.
even if I die, even if this killer's a sweaty nerd, like, I feel like I still want to play this match out."
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, I know Tofu was talking about this too. Like, I'm glad Tofu was talking about it. He was saying, you know, maybe they should just remove 4%ing. And obviously,
Yeah.
that's a very hot take, because a lot of people like that 4%,
Hmm.
and such. And I feel like I don't really have like a super duper solid opinion, like stance on my
Mm.
place on that either. Like, maybe they should, probably no, because like let's be real, it's not something that's like an insane core mechanic of the game. Sure, like, it's felt great
Yeah.
that one time where you Kobe and the hatch opens up in front of you, and then the
Yeah.
killer that's been BMing you the whole game gets to like
Yeah.
slam their desk because you got lucky or something. Like, it feels great, but like,
Yeah.
it's not going to feel good that the devs have put this time to implement this system to keep, a survivor match filled.
Yeah.
um but then there's still a way that you can get around it by killing yourself on hook. I
Hmm.
feel like maybe there should be a system in place where you can still 4%, but you can't, like, until maybe the killer has gotten X amount of hooks or hook stages, or maybe after a certain amount of minutes, you can't
Hmm.
try to Kobe. So
Yeah.
it makes it so those people that like get thrown on the hook in the first 2 minutes of the game, they can't just kill themselves,
Oh yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that's what they could do to compromise, at least until they find a better solution. Is, oh,
Hmm.
you can't 4% in the first, I don't know, 3 minutes 30 seconds of the game,
Yeah.
um, or you can't, try to Kobe until the killer's at least gotten 6 hook stages or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
then it makes it so people have to stay in the game. And then, obviously everyone will always say, oh, well, you're not going to stop the people that just go AFK. All right. Well, the devs
Hmm.
then need to start actually sanctioning people that go AFK because they
Hmm.
don't want to play the game. That's then
Oh yeah.
that, because like there's only so much they can do where it becomes,
Hmm.
okay, you're now just ruining the integrity of the game because you're
Hmm.
you're you're getting upset, because you're
Yeah.
going AFK, and make it so, like, because at least make it so that, like, that's why I feel like there should be that compromise where it's like, oh, you get your 17th Wesker in a row, and you don't want to go against that. Well, then you can still leave the match and die, but you at least have to try a little bit more. Like, at least make it so your teammates have a chance at doing
Hmm.
something. Maybe like I
Yeah.
said, after a few minutes after the game, then you can go next, because then it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt as bad. It's like, oh, they died on hook, but the killer's been kind of creaming us a little bit. But hey, at least
Hmm.
everyone gets some BP now or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, at least they don't have to stay in the match forever. Because again,
Hmm.
I know this is a very, like, two-sided topic where it's like you have the
Yeah.
people that are like, oh, just let them go next if they want to go next, and then you have the people going, oh, these are the worst people ever because they don't want
Hmm.
to play the game. Like, I understand both perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, like, I'm not one or the other. Like, I understand both.
Yeah.
One, I want people to try in their matches, because there are many
Hmm.
situations where people go next against the add-on list, Myers, who's running a chase build. Like, in those
Hmm.
situations, it's like, come on, dude. Like, you like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? But then again, it's a skull merchant. I don't blame anyone for going next against a skull
Yeah.
merchant or even a
Yeah.
nurse. I get it.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, if anything, I almost encourage people to go next against skull merchant and nurse, because they're not fun. I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm playing Dead by Daylight when I'm going against those killers. Yes, there
No.
are other killers I despise going against. I hate Blight. I hate this. I hate that. But at least they're somewhat tolerable.
Yeah.
But like, again, like, if someone, because like I got held. There was a skull merchant that held me when actually, while I was swiffing with Vicky Slushy the other day. There was a skull merchant that was holding us hostage. They would
Oh, I
not
saw some screenshots of that. Yeah.
they were not they would not chase anyone, they would only walk this 3 gen, and if someone was at
Mhm.
that 3 gen, then they would go after them. We
Yeah.
sat in a corner just picking up and dropping our items for like, I don't know,
Yeah.
at least 15 minutes, and we're like, oh, so the killer's just not going to chase us. And we took a peek. We're like, peek around the corner, and oh, they're just they have like, it looks like they have a macro on where like they're picking up,
Yeah.
placing a drone, picking up, placing a drone in this 3 gen. Like,
Oh
this
my
is not okay.
gosh.
Like, if a killer's doing something like that, I
Yeah.
encourage people, go next. And I love the new meme that's been going around with the community that, oh, the Skull Merchant mains are going to be playing PvE soon because they're going to be getting nothing but bots. And I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like, I wonder if that will deter them from playing such a boring killer, because I
Mhm.
feel like it will get really boring knowing that, oh, wow, I'm playing against my fourth bot group in a row. You're not playing
Yeah.
against people. Like, you're like, sure, you made them DC, but now you have to sit there and you have to kill bots. Like, how fun is that? Like, okay, you're gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of fun killing bots for 10 minutes, holding
How
a 3 gen against bots. Like, okay.
yeah. How fun is that gonna be for people to watch on your stream while
Not at
you're
all. Not at
PvE
all. I,
against
I
bots?
feel like I feel like that's I feel like I don't know if it will. This is one of those things on paper where
Yeah.
it's like you think it might make a difference. We'll see when it comes
Yeah.
out. I'm very excited to see how like that changes. But
Yeah.
I really hope that it kind of demoralizes those killer players that are going out of their way to make, because there are killer players, I run into them from
Yeah.
time to time, and they go, oh, my goal is to make you DC, oh, my goal is to make you guys give up, because these people are like egomaniacs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not cool, bro. But I'm like, okay, well, now they're going to DC, they're going to be in a new match, and you're going to be sitting there playing your little PvE Dead by Daylight game mode. And then
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do after the see, like, I'm curious to see though what happens if all, like, I don't think this was something that was tested. If it was, I didn't hear about it. What happens if all four survivors DC?
Yeah.
Like, will it
I
end
think
the match, or will it
I think
just fill it with four
I
bots?
I think they have to play it out unless they DC themselves. I think
I
I saw tweets about that. I can't say with 100% certainty, but I think I do
mhm.
recall seeing tweets where people said, yeah, when all 4 DC, then the killer's just kind of stuck in a PvE lobby. So we'll have to wait and see. I think
Yeah.
it's a good step in the right direction though, like with the bots replacing people who have been disconnected. It sucks. Yeah, and the timing of this conversation is hilarious because I posted a meme clip where I disconnected versus Wesker.
I did see
Um,
that.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I was just like, I had it with I that was my fourth Wesker in a row, and I was like, I'm so fed up with this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna disconnect and spend some blood points for 30 seconds and then queue up for another game. And I did clip it, and I was like, yeah, I'll throw it on there. I'll just do like this silly. And the funny thing is, that's about the fourth or fifth time I've done that, and the previous ones were for like Nurse, Skull Merchant, and Knight, and
Mhm.
really unfun killers to play against. And for Wesker, it was just me just being fed up with Wesker. Um,
I totally understand where you're coming from, because
yeah,
my ideology with Wesker is, for the longest time I was like, oh, this is one of the best killers this game has ever come out with. Super fun to play, nice counterplay,
yeah,
but then the server issues started coming in, pulling you through windows, pulling you through
oh yeah,
pallets,
yeah,
clearly zipping next to you, but he's still like, you see yourself get vacuumed into his arm.
yeah,
and
yeah,
and you're like, you don't think much about that until you start going against him over
hmm
and over again, and then those same
yeah.
things happen, and you're just, and that might change once, because I know they said they're going to be like fixing some of those issues
All the
that's going
Windows
on with
stuff.
him,
Yeah,
the Windows stuff,
yeah,
and I feel like maybe that will make it a little nicer. But I get why people get frustrated with going against him all the time now, because like I was getting him a moderate amount of the time, but now like I
yeah.
fully have experienced the getting him back to back to back to back. It's the same
Oh
thing. One
yeah.
reasons why I also hate Blight, because like I
hmm
feel like they all play the same way. They
Yeah.
all use the same cheese,
hmm
tactics. And I just get tired of it. I'm like, I wouldn't mind going against Blight if it was once in
hmm
a while, but I get the same. it's like they're a clone of each other. They all hug
Yeah.
tech, they all use double
Yeah.
speed, and they
Yeah.
all are just incredibly irritating to play against. And it's like, dude, I don't want to go against this over and over again. And I get why
Yeah.
people don't like that with Wesker. And
Yeah.
like, and I've been kind of fed up with it too. And I don't blame the Wesker players. It just kind of it's the fact that behavior has made a killer that is so incredibly fun to play that isn't super hard to play, that
Hmm.
is also good at the game. Like it hits those check marks,
Yeah.
not hard to play. Like people, like you can argue that, oh, he's hard to play. I don't think he's hard to play at all. Like
No.
it's he's 115. You walk up to someone, you charge your power, boom, you ram him into a wall. Or oh,
Yeah.
you dash through a loop, you walk 1 second around a corner, you dash again, boom, you hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's advanced tactics you can do with him that I think are actually quite hard. You look at someone like Our
Hmm.
Anakin or Scooty Booty or something, and
Hmm.
like you're like, yeah, the stuff they do, like that's advanced tactics. Like I get it, that's hard. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
your standard back revving people and stuff like that, it's not hard. And then again, he's
Hmm.
good. You're injuring people, so they have to heal, and then you're infecting them, so they have to go and cleanse. And if they don't cleanse,
Yeah.
then you can one shot them, and they're slow. And he's just a
Yeah.
super duper good killer. Like there is a reason
Oh
that
yeah.
everyone says he's like probably in the top 5 or 6 killers in the game.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating that because one of the things I like about DVD is the variety. That's one of the things I hate the most is whenever behavior does the increased map odds. I remember the first time they
Oh
did that,
yeah.
like what was it,
Yeah.
like 9 months ago, 12 months ago, or
Hmm.
something like that. It wasn't even all that long ago that they did
Yeah.
that for the first time. I was so bored with DBD
Hmm.
because it was the same. It felt like I was getting the same 2, 3 maps over and over again, and I was like, I don't want to play on the same maps over and over again. Yes,
Yeah.
are they maps that I enjoy more than others? Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want to play on these maps over and over again. I
Yeah.
got tired of going to Ormond over and over again. I got
Oh
tired
yeah.
of going to Dead Dog over. I love Dead Dog. It's my favorite map in
Yeah.
the game,
Dead
but I
Dog's
got tired of
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
tired of it. Like I like variety. That's why I hate
Hmm.
seeing so many blights. I hate seeing so
Yeah.
many Weskers. I hate seeing, so many of, hit and run wraiths. That's something
Yeah.
that I still see a ton of, is just the same hit and run wraiths. Starting to see a little
Hmm.
too many skull merchants, and I think the community needs to
Yeah.
start rolling it back on that one.
I
But
agree.
I like variety.
Yeah.
Sure, when you get something like a Tombstone Myers or something, or Nemesis who just hard tunnels or something, sure, it kind of sucks, but at
Yeah.
least the variety is nice. You go, hey, at
Oh yeah.
least it's not my fourth, Alkaring Blighted Crow, blight in a row,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
my seventh, Wesker who just focuses the first person they get hooked out of the game or something like that. It's different.
Yeah.
So
And that's what blows me away with the mobile killers. Like you mentioned, some of them Blight, Wesker, Nurse. A lot of them use that mobility not to pressure other survivors, but once that first person gets off hook, they're like, okay, I got to go back,
yeah, I've got to go
straight
back.
back to hook. And a
Hmm.
lot of them play like that, and it's a pet peeve of mine. I know there's nothing I can do in the moment to change that. Maybe change my build, maybe start using off the record stuff like that. I don't know, but
I mean,
it's boring.
in solo queue, there's really not much you can do. Like
Yeah.
you're pretty much at the mercy of the killer doing something like that. You can try to take
Hmm.
hits or stuff, but it's that's one reason why I like playing in Swifts with a lot of my friends who are very good at the game, is when we get killers that try to pull those stunts, they don't
Yeah.
usually work, because it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh, someone can actually, that person that they're trying to tunnel, they can handle their own.
Yeah.
Usually, little Jimmy 47, that plays the game, for 1 hour every other day, on Survivor, and just likes, playing, their favorite Survivor, I don't know, Laurie Strode or whatever.
Yeah.
When that blight running the most, busted double speed, like I'm gonna die on the hill
Yeah.
that double speed is busted. I will die on that
Yeah.
hill, by the way. You'll hear me throw that out a lot. I will die on that hill. There are many other people that agree with me, and there's a lot of people that
Yep.
disagree. I will die on the hill that double speed is busted. Oops, I bumped my mic. But
Yeah.
But you know, when that person, when that killer goes, oh, little Timmy 47, you're getting tunneled out of the game, you're not going to stop it. It's like they
Yeah.
can, that survivor can delay it, but I mean, if that killer is, you know, playing that killer all the time and they're at least half competent with the killer,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not going to stop them. They're going to die.
Yeah.
They're going to get tunneled out. There's going to only be one gen done. And
Oh
then, you
yeah.
know, everyone's going to go, oh, now everyone wants to go next because, like, again, you know,
Yeah.
like, because you're not going to beat, you're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat that. Oh, they have pain res
Yeah.
and pop too. So, oh, wow, you know, sure, we get 3 gens done instead of just one, but it's solo
Yeah.
queue. And now they have a bunch of slowdowns. And, you know, like, you
Hmm.
just kind of have to accept that. See, that's like part of the thing with that sucks about solo queues. You just accept that you're going to get matches like that and there's just not much you can do, and you want to be able to help. You go to take hits, you even
Yeah.
take it down for the person, but that killer's like, nope, you're sitting on the ground and I'm going to keep
Yeah.
going after that guy. He
Yeah.
is not going to touch a single gen this game and he's going to die. So, and you're like, oh well. Oh well.
Yeah, that's the solo queue experience. I play exclusively solo queue because I've gone through Swifts, but a lot of them have just uninstalled DBD at this point. So it's really
Mhm.
hard to get into a steady group, and I'm okay with that because I do enjoy, like, the thing with solo queue is, yeah, there will be times when I get tunneled out early or somebody else gets tunneled out early, and then the game is just already decided. So I'm just like, well, shoot. If I were playing with other people, I'd be stuck, like, just waiting in the lobby, waiting for them to die.
Yeah,
And so,
I feel like that's the thing that also sucks about Swifting is when you are that
mhm,
one person that gets killed first, and
mhm,
and now you get to just watch as your poor team has to, you know, try to beat a 3v1 against Nerd Killer 37 that, you know, just wants to treat every match like it's a comp match, and you're like, bro, like,
mhm,
I get wanting to win, I get it,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I like winning as killer too, but
yeah,
I feel like there's like a point where it's like, okay, dude, like, can you like at least calm down a little bit, chase
mhm.
another person, something, you
Oh yeah,
know, you'll
yeah,
probably still win, but you'll have a more entertaining match that way, you know.
yeah. You mentioned that. I've started to get into the habit of recognizing when I'm clearly up against newer people who maybe don't have as many hours as me. And sometimes I'll just straight up take my foot off the gas and let them get reset and then, like,
Oh yeah,
start the game
I'll do the
again.
same thing. Like sometimes, like I'll be playing Pinhead or something, and I'm steamrolling these 4 poor people. Like I genuinely feel bad because like they have 0 gens done. I've gotten
Hmm.
7 hooks, and you know, like
Yeah.
they're like crawling. They're like, please stop. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I go like I'll be like, oh, what's over in this corner, and you know, let them reset,
Yeah.
and I'll give them another chance.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that. Like sometimes I'll even feel bad for Survivor because I feel like maybe they're dying a little too quick, and I'll be like, you know what, I'll just slug you instead of
Yeah.
picking you up, and I'll let someone come reset you and give you another chance,
Yeah.
you know, just because like I'm not going into games to make people miserable. Like, yeah, I'm going in there to play the game to win.
Yeah.
Like, I want to
Yeah.
win, but like, I'm not going in there to be that skull merchant player that, you know, is trying to make people DC. Like, that's not my goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not trying to take out my IRL anger or something on some other people that are just trying to play a video game for fun. Now, if they DC when even when I'm playing nice or something, then you know, well, so be it. Like I can't stop
Hmm.
that. But like
Yeah.
I'm not going in there to be mean. Like yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I play mean, but like it's never my like intent. I'm not going in there, you know, with the intent, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
4 people DC this match, otherwise, you know, I lose as a DBD player or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I still do care about the fun of the other side because I play both sides. I get it, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun
Oh
to
yeah.
have a full match where everybody gets to interact with the killer a bit. You
Hmm.
get some
Yeah.
saves, and I feel like a good match is like, you know, where, you know, like I get, because like a lot of people, like, you know, just want to escape or they just want to get a 4K, and I'm like, I wish there was a
Hmm.
way maybe we could try to find a way to alleviate that feeling so people still feel very rewarded, even if like they get
Yeah.
two outed or something, where it's like, oh, this was
Hmm.
a good match. Like I felt like that,
Yeah.
like I did a good job and they did a good job. So, but you know,
Hmm.
it's a very complicated game. Like these topics have been gone over like, you know, time and time again. It's just
Oh,
very,
totally.
so.
Yeah. What are changing gears a little bit, but have you played much of the new killer Singularity?
I've played him a little bit. I
Yeah.
was planning on playing him a bit more the next time I streamed, just because I
Hmm.
hadn't played him in a bit, but I have played him a little
Yeah.
bit. Singularity is really fun.
Yeah.
He's just kind of hard. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I need a lot more practice with him. I feel like he's one he a lot of people were comparing him to Pinhead in the sense that like if you're going against a group that like if you're not very skilled with the killer and you're going against a group
Hmm.
that understands the best uses for the EMPs, like how to basically interact with the killer with the way that, you know, was designed, like the same way Pinhead's
Hmm.
box, solving it and
Yeah.
such, like it can really feel like the killer is underwhelming, but like
Hmm.
he's very good against solo queue and very, very good against uncoordinated teams because of this fact that
Hmm.
he has such a good power in chase and he can just
Yeah.
be ping ponging back and forth between
Oh,
people
yeah.
and forcing people to have to go an EMP, otherwise they'll die 100%, and then
Yeah.
getting people tagged with slipstreams very quickly. Like I think he's a very fun killer, but
Yeah.
I feel like the reason we're not seeing a lot of them, because I know a lot of people are like, where are the singularities? I'm like, dude, have you like tried playing this killer on controller?
Hmm.
Like, you know, like for example,
Oh, yeah.
like you know, like when I started playing him, I recognized immediately. I'm like, dude, like this killer is like super multitasking. Like,
Yep.
I'm, you know, pod here, pod there, checking the
Yeah.
cam pod that I placed 2 minutes ago over here, tagging that
Yeah.
survivor with the pod, using my gun to TP to this guy, shooting a pod
Hmm.
and chase, and then retagging him because his friend EMP. Like you're doing
Oh,
so
yeah.
many different things, and a
Yeah.
lot of people can't do that. They just
Yeah.
can't. They can't. It's too
Yeah.
hard, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That but
Hmm.
it's just that just means the killer has a very high, you know, kind of like a skill cap, because like you have
Hmm.
so many different things you need to be doing, you know, in order to alleviate things like the EMPs and such. Because if you're just walking around, you know, taking basic chases, not tagging people all that often,
Yeah.
you're missing out on half the killer's, you know, potential. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
he's going to feel underwhelming. Like, you know, like there's a
Hmm.
reason why, you know, back in the, you know, back when they reworked Freddy, that Freddy had the highest kill rate in the game. He was so simple.
Oh, yeah.
It was, you didn't have to put people to sleep. It just happened naturally, or you just M1
Yeah.
to them and they fall asleep. You place
Yeah.
some traps and chase, you know, just kind of spam them. You know, you don't do anything. You could do it on controller easily. So even like the
Hmm.
casual console people could do it. And then
Yeah.
you had a teleport that you could just go from one place to another. Like he was so easy to play. And that's why he
Yeah.
had the highest kill rate in the game. And then you look
Oh,
at
yeah.
Singularity. Like, I totally feel that Singularity. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be playing him in a few months from now, you know, after maybe another,
Hmm.
like the next killer comes out or so. But I have a feeling that he's going to have a low to medium kill rate, because you're just
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have a lot of people pick him up and they're just not going to do well with him because they're not going to
Yeah.
understand how to play him very well. Just because he, like, again, he's not like just a base M1 killer. Now he's probably going to do better than some other kills, because like, at the end of the day, he is just a 115 M1, and you know, even,
Hmm.
you know, new players are going to not do very well against even just that.
Yeah.
That's why killers like on Rio are so like high kill rate, because you know they're just the 115, you know,
Yeah.
115 M1 teleport is good. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but I have a feeling he's probably going to be around the medium kill rate, to be honest. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know. I
Yeah.
could be like completely surprised and maybe, oh, he has the second highest kill rate or something. But
Hmm.
I think he is a good killer for the most
Yeah.
part. I think
Yeah.
like overall, like I've had fun playing against him. Like I've played against a couple of them that are seem pretty good, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's hard to play against those, but you know, at the same time, you know, it's one of those things where like, you know, I'd be playing with like duo queuing or something, and you know, he'd be on me and he had me tag, and I'd be like, bro, come slit, you come EMP me, I need an EMP, and then you
Hmm.
know that like helps a lot because of that teamwork. You know, like
Oh,
it
yeah.
creates a lot more teamwork against the killer, and I think that's actually really cool. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I think that's kind of fun. I
Hmm.
mean, it can definitely be frustrating for the killer. It can kind of suck where you're like, oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get this guy, and then you see, you know, other survivor walk in, EMP, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, dude,
Yeah.
but I think he was a very good killer for the game. I
Yeah.
think like he was fun. I think there are a couple things about him that I can understand why people are frustrated. Like personally, I
Mhm.
feel like they should have like the one thing I probably would have changed with him was that if a survivor drops a pallet on you, because like how you can swing even if the pallet is dropped on you in overclock
Oh,
mode
yeah.
and hit them.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like what they could have done was made it so that like initial like cooldown of get like where you move very slowly after getting stunned was shorter, but then
Mhm.
compensate where you can't hit a survivor. So they can still drop a pallet on you
Oh, yeah.
and you're probably still getting hit, but it's not
Mhm.
like, oh, they're right behind me in overclock mode. No matter what I
Mhm.
do, I'm getting I would have personally made it so that that like little bit of a slowdown they get is a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Um, by base kit, but then make it so they can't
Mhm.
just hit you when they drop the pallet because
Mhm.
that felt a little frustrating. You're like, well, like, what do I do in this situation? Do I just throw the
Yeah.
pallet and just hope that maybe
Yeah.
he's just far enough back that he has to kick it instead of hitting me
Mhm.
through it? So I feel like
Yeah.
maybe they could have done that instead. But that's like literally
Yeah.
my only complaint about the killer. And then maybe I feel
Mhm.
like they personally went in a direction with the EMPs that I felt like wasn't what I would have done. My idea, because like
Mhm.
I'm glad they nerfed them because they definitely felt like they were getting spammed too much and a little too
Mhm.
easy to abuse. But my
Yeah.
direction that I personally would have went with was make the timer for the EMP way shorter. So instead of 100 seconds, make it like 30-40 seconds, but then make it so
Mhm.
that that case you pulled the EMP from doesn't start recharging until the one you have in your hand is gone. So you
Oh, that's a good
you know
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that way they can't just ping pong from case to case because you can still kind of do that now.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
still ping pong and then kind of nullify his power. But then
Mhm.
again, the timer is a lot shorter. But then once you use your EMP, then that one starts recharging and it's a little bit quicker now. It's not like a
Yeah.
almost 2 minutes long. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like that would have felt a lot nicer personally.
Mhm.
And then I would have done something like, if you get hooked with an EMP or something, then that EMP is destroyed. And then that one starts
Yeah.
recharging. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that would have been a little bit more of an interesting path. Now I don't think what they did was wrong or terrible. It's just not what I would
Mhm.
have gone with. I feel like
Yeah.
if they'd done that, it would have been a little bit more interesting personally. Then they could have tweaked those numbers obviously to the data or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still think he's a good killer, and I think
Mhm.
obviously considering the fact we just came out of the probably the two worst chapters that have ever been
Oh.
added to the game
Yep.
minus
Yep.
maybe Original Legion. I think Original Legion still one of the worst chapters they've ever. That was horrible. The Original
Yeah.
Legion. Um, obviously the bugs and stuff too. But like I like
Mhm.
not even considering like that because like that's like old DVD. Like
Yeah.
that's like ancient stuff.
Oh,
But like
yeah.
but I still feel like again we have gotten a really really nice killer that actually has some skill to them. Like you have to actually
Yeah.
do stuff. And then considering, like I said, we just came out of the two worst chapters we've ever had. Like we had the night, which obviously you talk to a lot of people and you have this killer that is very like you don't do anything. You just kind of throw your AI down in a loop, and then that
Mhm.
survivor usually just dies because they get zoned and doesn't
Yep.
feel good. And then you go to another killer, which can also 3 gen, just like the knight, and makes it. And again, they rework. I mean, I guess you could say I'm glad they reworked her, but I still hate the fact that it's oh, you're disabling her power so that you can do the objective, but now she gets rewarded for it with a speed boost so
Mhm.
she can catch people and chase, but she still
Yep.
has other drones that she can throw up in your loop and get even more of a speed boost. And then make it
Mhm.
so that her tear radius is hidden, and then you become exposed if you stay. And then, of course, again, since she has 4 drones, what you can do is you break one of the drones, you get a little trap gets put on your arm, and
Yeah.
then she comes back and, oh, I don't care that you have a trap on your arm because I still have another drone that I can throw up, and now you have to wait 30 seconds
Yeah.
before you can even, you can even break this one. And I just kicked it with
Mhm.
Colubrine and overcharge, and now you get to sit there and, either you get to come inside the circle and get exposed so that when I come back, you die in one hit,
Yeah.
or you get to just sit there and look at the gen as it loses, 40% progress. And it's just not good. and so
Yeah,
and so
it's
getting Singularity was a nice change of pace. It's a
oh,
nice
yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, like, the EMPs, I like your idea of them, like, dying when if you get down with it, like, the case stop printing them after you pick it up. Because 'cause I'm actually working really hard on getting good with Singularity. I've actually, like, started a tiny little series on YouTube, which I'm excited about, and the amount of times I'll slipstream somebody, then they EMP it immediately, then I get them
Yeah,
slipstreamed again, and then they have a teammate nearby who's got an
buying
EMP,
EMPs, it just doesn't
and
feel
then
good.
they keep running, and then they pick up an EMP mid chase, and you're just like, well, what do I do? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I think the most times I've slipstreamed somebody in one chase was about 4 slipstreams.
It does
And
not feel
I
good.
yeah, and I probably should have dropped that chase sooner, but, like, I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see how it would play out, because
Hmm.
that's part of the learning experience with Singularity. Um, but I do have fun playing with them. Like, when I do have good rounds, it feels great because you're multitasking, you're zoning people with your biopods, you're closing the chases with your overclock mode, mind
Hmm.
gaming with the overclock mode, which, he's practically he's a beast at TL walls. Like,
Oh, he's great.
because of your
Yeah.
systems, they can't really mind game you there. You can just vault super fast and do crazy things. So
No,
I
he's
love them.
he's definitely very interactive. Like he's very fun because like you feel like you're always doing something.
Yeah,
And you also have the potential to do something to help you in chase. It doesn't feel like you're
yeah,
just playing man with knife. Like it's like, okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna try to place my pod here, and when he vaults the
Hmm.
window, I'm gonna tag him, and then when he runs
Hmm.
around, I'm gonna moonwalk and then shoot him so that I can teleport
Yeah,
across the entire loop. And, like there's always
yeah.
something going on, and that's very
Oh, yeah,
fun. It's very, very
yeah.
fun, and I think it's really, really nice. And then obviously, there's a lot of room for very cool plays and stuff that you can
Oh, yeah.
do with him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I do want to be mindful of the time. I usually try to keep these around an hour, but, like, we've been talking for a bit, and I appreciate it, man. Like, you've got some really good thoughts on the game and your content creation, and I really appreciate you making the time to be on the podcast and being so patient with me while
Of course,
I was moving, and then I got injured, and then there was recovery and
it
not
always
knowing when I'd
happens.
be better. But
Life stuff happens. Like personal life stuff's
yeah,
always first. I always say that. Always take care of yourself before you can deal with other things. But
yeah.
yeah, so
Exactly. Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. And you know, you're moving soon, so good luck in your move. That's got to
thank
be
you. Appreciate
exciting
that.
for
It
you.
is. Yeah, it is. It's very
Yeah.
exciting.
So I like to give people an opportunity to talk about where else they can find you. You stream on Twitch, and anywhere else people should follow you and consume your content.
Well, so obviously the main platform that I'm always on is Twitch. I usually try to stream at least 4 days of the week on Twitch. It just kind of depends though, like what's going on. Maybe I'm like not feeling super hot or have a headache, or maybe I'm just
Hmm.
not feeling it that night. But I try to usually go for about like on the weekends, usually Fridays through Mondays are when I stream.
Yeah.
But I'll stream on other days though. I'm not against it. I might be switching my
Yeah.
schedule up though, because again, once I move and because like it's I'm gonna be going to university, I may start streaming
Hmm.
only 3 days or maybe 5 days. It just depends. I don't know yet.
Hmm.
That's something that I'm gonna figure out soon. But I
Yeah.
do make YouTube videos. I've been starting doing YouTube again with the
Cool.
help of my friend Fox, who's been editing for me. I did put out a
Nice.
video recently, and I'm currently
Hmm.
working on a pinhead guide, very long pinhead guide. I haven't put out another
Wicked.
video in a little bit just because it's a really big project.
Yeah.
But once that's done, then you'll find more steady YouTube content. But yeah, YouTube. And then Twitter, I'm always talking about stuff on Twitter.
Hmm.
Retweeting, art. I love absolutely love art communities on Twitter. But then of
Yeah.
course other content creators like talking about DVD or just
Hmm.
talking about other fun stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
the three sites: YouTube, Twitter,
Cool.
Twitch. Pretty
Right
much that's
on.
the best place you can find me. So
Cool. All right, and I will leave links in the show notes for the podcast. So if anybody's listening or watching, be sure to check the links and check out Reaper. Reaper's a really good content creator, and I really appreciate your time. And yeah, had a lot of fun. And down the road, if you're ever interested, I do want to get more panel conversations going with people. I've hosted, I think, one so far, maybe two, maybe just one, but I know I did one with like Jocko and Slushy and
oh, I
Fidget
mean, yeah,
actually.
I know a lot
Yeah.
of people too. So like, yeah, if you
Hmm.
want more like people that from other creators, like you think that like, oh, do you know anyone that would
Hmm.
be cool to have on the show? Like, I have a lot of really interesting people that I feel like you'd probably also like to talk to
Cool.
that are have many
Wicked.
different insights on the
Yeah.
game and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
or just in other stuff
Yeah.
too, not just DVD, but
Oh yeah. 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 No. Yeah. I definitely appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate that because I the interviews and the conversations are what I enjoy the most about this podcast. Like I do post other stuff, like I'll be like, here's the update and here's what's coming up. And I get bored with doing that nonstop.
yeah,
So it's fun to
it's fun to
break it
talk to
up and be like,
people. Yeah, it's fun
yeah,
to talk to
exactly.
people.
Exactly. So yeah, anybody listening, thanks for being here. Be sure to like and comment, subscribe wherever you can, and ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That goes a long way. So be sure to rate the show if you can, please. So Reaper, thanks again for your time,
Of
and I hope you
course.
enjoyed the rest of
Thanks.
your day.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.